anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this first day of a new week. It is a Monday live on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. 2 more hours to go up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. We continue to review what we saw this weekend in the wide world of sports. And, of course, we set the stage for a new and profitable week here on the early line as well. Game number 1 of the Stanley Cup final between the Oilers and the Panthers, not until Saturday. Game number 1 of the 2024 NBA Finals between the Celtics and the Mavericks is inching closer, but not until Thursday. So in the days to come, Major League Baseball. We've got spots in the Women's College World Series Finals today on the line, where Oklahoma and Texas are both a single win away from playing in the WCS Final against each other in Oklahoma City. And we've got 4 Game 7s in the NCAA baseball tournament in the regional round as well on this Monday. Frankly, DRS, in the interim, what more could you ask for?
Nothing. Super regional action. Also, keep in mind the Division III College World Series, where a team that actually, Ben, was their college closed on them. I believe it was Birmingham Southern. And finally, were ended yesterday with their seasonal quest, which was amazing. Imagine your school actually not there anymore, but you're still playing and playing well. Pretty good story all across the boards here. But it's time for baseball, people, and get ready for a lot of Major League Baseball talk over the next couple of weeks here.
We are in those summer months. Summer does not officially start until June 21st, but following Memorial Day weekend, it is a lot of baseball. What Donnie is referring to was America's college baseball team, Birmingham Southern, that had its doors closed at the end of this past week. Founded in 1856, they were playing in the Division III College World Series. After 168 years, their school shut down, and they were playing without really a university to fall back on. Jackson Webster, 2-run walk-off shot on Saturday night to keep things going for the Panthers. Then they got walked off against by UW-Whitewater. That's Wisconsin-Whitewater on a Sunday. Their season coming to a close. There is a lot of focus on college sports right now, softball and baseball. And DRS, a lot of focus in the WNBA as well. A lot of social media conversation and conjecture on Saturday surrounding Caitlin Clark, of course, who has been a member of notoriety and a ton of focal attention paid on her since her days at Iowa, and the momentum from the NCAA women's tournament carrying over into the early portion of the WNBA. On Saturday, the Fever at home hosting the Chicago Sky, a tightly contested game where Indiana emerged victorious by 71-70, winning outright as a short home underdog for the Fever's first home win of this WNBA season, the first home victory for Caitlin Clark in her WNBA career. But the story really was the end of the third quarter and a hard, cheap shot foul by Kennedy Carter of Chicago on Caitlin Clark when the ball was dead under the basketball hoop following a made bucket. Kennedy Carter came out of nowhere, just rammed through Caitlin Clark, fell to the ground. An away ball foul was called. On Sunday afternoon, it was upgraded by the WNBA league office to a flagrant one. Again, a lot of conjecture following this cheap shot by Carter on Clark on Saturday.
Here's what I want to bring it back to. We just talked about ice hockey.
Please.
And if we go back to the late 70s and early 80s, a player by the name of Wayne Gretzky entered the NHL playing with Edmonton. And early on, it was thought out, you know what? We have a certain good following here, but we want a national following. We want to create an infrastructure where everybody's going to get paid. We're going to ride the backs of Wayne Gretzky here. And you know who understood the game plan? The rest of the NHL, not the front offices, the players themselves, which is why nobody took shots at Liberty at Gretzky with how good he was. Nobody wanted to drop the gloves with Wayne Gretzky because you know what? Every player in that league understood, if this guy flourishes here, we're all going to make more money. The league is going to expand. It's going to be massive. And if you remember, and based on bad timing, the Edmonton Oilers were forced to trade Wayne Gretzky because their owner got into some financial troubles. But having said that, they sent Wayne Gretzky, the brightest star in hockey, to Los Angeles, and the boom happened for the NHL. The reason I'm bringing this up is maybe it's unfair to say the best player to ever lace him up here in hockey was Wayne Gretzky and say it's Caitlin Clark, but it's apparent. You're getting chartered flights. Your ratings are through the roof. Why? Not because of the people that are already in the league who did have something to do with it, but your newfound interest with new fans here on Caitlin Clark. I'm not saying, Ben, you got to let her shoot wide open three-point shots. You get a triple-double every single night. But there's one thing about being competitive, and then there's being competitive stupid here. Let's just say Caitlin Clark gets injured, right, and is out for the rest of the year. I guarantee you ratings will drop by probably 50% in the WNBA. Fair or not fair, that's the truth here at this point. So when I see these shots, I'm a competitive person. Trust me, if I'm in that spot, I'm like, I'm going to give this girl all the guff that she can actually handle at this point to see if she's ready for it. But from a business standpoint, it's so dumb to be doing this for the WNBA players.
Listen, Caitlin Clark, in her emergence into the WNBA in that transition period, has been historical as she was during her days in college hoops. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And there has been a lot of conjecture, not by Caitlin Clark herself, who has become a figurehead for a lot of people to advance their own personal agendas, many of them far outside of actually just playing basketball, which I'm sure if you ask Caitlin is all she is focused on doing at this point. People have used her as a figurehead for a lot of what they want to do. And a lot of that has been a conversation around the W and how you should be grateful, how you should be thanking and bowing down to Caitlin Clark. And I can understand from the WNBA player perspective, frankly saying we were here grinding our tails off long before Caitlin Clark even was the expected number one pick. There is the reality of the situation. There has never been this much attention paid to women's basketball, from all the momentum in college hoops now to the W, capitalizing on a moment and carrying over that momentum. From 2009 on, the WNBA did not have a single game that reached at least 1 million viewers. In the first 2.5 weeks of this WNBA season, they have had 5. They have had multiple. That is because of Caitlin Clark and just the betterment of the sport in total. But again, a lot of that narrative is not brought on by Caitlin Clark herself. She is not a selfish individual. She does not flagrantly speak of her ability. She is gracious in a moment where every eyeball is on her. If somebody wants to fight Caitlin Clark, fight us. Fight other talking heads that discuss this at length. Caitlin Clark herself has not been the embodiment of this idea. The old W meant nothing versus the new emerging star that is Caitlin Clark. And so that's why Kennedy Carter is fake tough, because she was asked about her actions and what went into that play at the end of the third quarter. And in the post-game press conference said, I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions, then took to Threads, not even Instagram, not even TikTok, not even Twitter, to reply to a post about Kennedy Carter and said this: besides three-point shooting, what does she bring to the table, man? Here's what she brings to the table. In her first 10 WNBA career games, Caitlin Clark is one of 2 players in the history of the league, alongside Sabrina Ionescu, to have at least 150 points, 50 assists, and 50 rebounds. She is one of 2 players ever in the history of the WNBA to do that. The stats speak for themselves, and Caitlin does not speak for herself. Her play does, and it's historically significant once again, like it was in college basketball.
Exactly. Well said. And also, it'd be like if somebody came to the grid as the world's greatest broadcaster, came here, and I was like, you know what? I'm jealous of this guy here. And they go, you know what, Donnie? This guy's bringing such good ratings in. We're going to triple the pay of everybody here at the network. And I go, you know what? Let me get a private investigator on this guy. Let's dig up some old tweets and get him canned out of here so I can go back to my old salary just to have this guy out of here. I mean, come on now. Everybody can eat. Everybody is eating in the WNBA right now. And it's like, you know what? I'm so jealous of this person. Stop demanding this. Raise your level of game here and make that money and love life. Come on. It's not hard.
I don't think WNBA players need to be grateful. I don't think they need to express their gratitude to Caitlin Clark. They are playing basketball. They are competitors.
Meals.
Play basketball. Don't take cheap shots. We'll talk about it more up next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It was one of the biggest sports stories of the weekend, probably the largest in terms of social media attention paid to it on Saturday afternoon. Again, the upgraded now flagrant one dished out by Kennedy Carter, a cheap shot on Caitlin Clark during Saturday's game between the Fever and the Sky. And we continue the conversation here on this Monday on the early line. My main point, DRS, I will finish with this. Our producer, Joe Frieso, and myself were discussing via text on Saturday afternoon into the evening hours, because some of the conjecture around Caitlin Clark not brought on by Caitlin Clark, either her play or what she has said, has become frankly outrageous. At the end of the day, we are using the WNBA as a vehicle, as a foundation to spout out whatever nonsense and spin whatever narratives we want. We don't really do that in a ton of other sports, in large part based on play on the actual floor. Yes, certain individuals carry more notoriety for what they do maybe off the field, but based on simple play, we do not use sport as a vehicle in oftentimes to spin whatever narrative we desire. And Caitlin Clark is being used as a figurehead to spout off agendas that have nothing to do with Caitlin Clark, the individual. At a certain point, I hope we get back to discussing this sport as a sport, basketball, and what play is like on the floor. It is not being used with all the notoriety and attention that is put on the W right now in its essence.
Yeah, no, and there is a lot of that going around. And also, good for the WNBA who get to capitalize on this right away. And I can't speak to that point enough, where it's basically the women's college basketball season ends, and like a week and a half later, felt like we were playing basketball games in the WNBA just to keep that momentum going. And she's played well at times. She's played bad at times. But that's a rookie here trying to adjust. Give her 2 or 3 years in this league where she gets up to the physicality, up to the pace of the game. And then we'll see exactly where that team takes off with. But everybody's enjoying this right now in the moment. And also, sometimes you say to yourself, all news sometimes isn't always bad news when it comes to ratings here, because there's a reason why on a Monday we're saying, okay, we don't have the NBA Finals. We probably would talk about 3 or 4 segments here of NFL, like, hey, where's that team total going for the Cincinnati Bengals if T. Higgins doesn't play? But we're spending multiple segments here talking about the WNBA, and rightfully so, because these are the topics we like. When things go viral, we're going to talk about it, and it's not going viral. Did you see Caitlin Clark drop 38 points last night? No, the viral point is, did you see Caitlin Clark get knocked into the first row here in a flagrant foul and have the other teams actively celebrating while she's on the ground at this point? It's wild to see. And also adding that fuel to the fire. Sometimes you can get in front of the podium, and Caitlin Clark does a great job of this, of diffusing the situation. We're just talking about between the break. You're losing the biggest game of your life and you're getting taunted, only to go to the podium and say, that team's really good. She's a great player. And we talk a lot of trash out here. It's just us being competitive. Like, wow, that's taking the high road at this point. Now, you saw the players was it the Chicago Sky don't go to the podium after the game here to answer questions when you do. Everybody wanted to answer. And when you talk about diffusing the situation, all you have to do is go to the podium and say, yeah, we were getting back and forth. I caught an elbow a couple times down the court. I didn't expect to really hit her all that hard, bumped her, she fell down. It wasn't meant to be like that. But when you don't go to the podium and you celebrate, it's like, yeah, I meant to do that. And frankly, I wish I would have knocked her into the first row and out of the game at this point. It just adds all that fuel to the fire. But again, we're talking about it here. So W for the WNBA.
Because ultimately, what Caitlin Clark has always expressed is that she wants to focus on playing basketball and being a competitor. When Kennedy Carter got to the podium following the game and said, I'm not answering Caitlin Clark questions, then it allows the speculation to build. When Angel Reese did not show up for her post-game media availability and was fined $1,000 by the W yesterday, and Chicago as an organization fined $5,000 because they did not uphold WNBA media policies, it's not correct, and they are disciplined and punished as so. Caitlin Clark always is up there and wants to express for herself what matters to her, and that is playing basketball. Yesterday was not Clark's best game, only 3 points. It was not Indiana's best game. They got beat in a big way by the Liberty in Brooklyn, 104-68. It was the 11th game for Indiana in the first 19 days of this WNBA season. Nobody else in the W has played more than 9 games at this moment. It was the second leg of a back-to-back for the Fever. Nobody else has even played more than a single back-to-back. Only 4 other WNBA teams have even played a back-to-back this year. And 6 of the 11 games to start for Indiana have come against teams like the Liberty, the Sun, and the Aces. Those 3 teams only in the W last year that won 25-plus games, and Connecticut is a perfect 8-0, and they've played the Liberty, a WNBA Finals team from a season ago, 3 different times already to start off this year, trying to capitalize on the momentum of pitting Clark and her Indiana team against the best in the WNBA. All right, now we go back to the NBA Finals. MVP odds are out, in DRS, Jason Tatum is the odds-on favorite. His Boston team, minus 220 to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Tatum is an odds-on favorite at minus 115 to win that Finals MVP award. But, of course, it was the other Jay, Jaylen Brown, winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP award. He is the third best number at plus 600.
Yeah, you take a look at the top of the standings here, right? And just in that odds market. Tatum minus 115 does make the most sense. You're getting a discount from the finals. You expect him to be the best player. But you can see some other guys trying to steal that thunder, which includes Jaylen Brown. Now, I love Kyrie Irving. I really do. He's a fantastic basketball player, and it seems like they really got it right. Based on how last year ended, it's like, well, we don't trust the Dallas Mavericks. Look at their price points coming into the season to win a championship, and then as we pointed out there on one of those graphics, the all-star break where it's like, wow, they are really behind the eight ball. But these two have meshed perfectly here. Seems like they really enjoy each other's company and are two great players on the court. But having said that, Luka Doncic at a plus 200 price. You say to yourself, there's no way. Kyrie Irving can outperform Luka Doncic in the series. And if he does, what does that mean, Ben? 40 points per game, 11 assists per game. Like, It seems like it's Luka or nobody on the Mavericks, where you can sort of get that feel and you say, well, Tatum is the best player in the Celtics, but what happened in the Eastern Conference Finals? Tatum didn't win the MVP for the Eastern Conference Finals. It was Brown, so it adds in that little element of surprise. But Luka Doncic at a 2-1 price for the Mavericks. If they win it, it's got to be him.
And it's 16 cents of difference between the Mavericks' price overall to win the NBA championship at plus 184 and Luka at 2-1. Although I agree, I don't actually think there's better value on Luka Doncic just because something crazy happens where Luka is great, but Kyrie Irving is historic or something of the sort. But the Mavericks are not winning an NBA championship unless Luka Doncic is flat out great. Breaking news in the National Football League next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The wide receiver market in the National Football League has forever been reset. The breaking news that came down the wire just about 5 minutes ago out of Minneapolis. The Minnesota Vikings and Justin Jefferson have agreed to a contract extension to the tune of a 4-year deal worth $140 million. Justin Jefferson becomes the highest paid wide receiver in the history of the National Football League. In fact, Justin Jefferson becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the National Football League at an average annual value of $35 million with $110 million guaranteed. Donnie, we discussed this last week about where the wide receiver market was trending in the National Football League. And you and I said something very similar. When you look at Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, maybe even CeeDee Lamb, at a certain point this offseason in these summer months, we expected a wideout to make nearly $35 million per year. And that's what Justin Jefferson and the Minnesota Vikings have done.
Yeah, and by the way, congratulations to these teams out here. The teams that have signed Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, and Michael Pittman. And you might say to yourself right now, why does that make sense, Donnie? Why are you cheering that on? Because the other teams that are on the outside, the Dallas Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb sees that contract. I don't care what was going on inside of what you thought the building was going to be for his contract. That bar just got reset. Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, Amari Cooper, T. Higgins, all now look at that contract and change their negotiations, which good for them, terrible for those organizations. And again, you're talking about money going up. Like in 3 years, we're going to probably look at this Justin Jefferson deal. Like, look, they got to renegotiate that. That's a terrible deal. He's the 11th paid or highest paid wide receiver in football. That's what happens here. When the market sets it, the next guy is probably going to get more. Now, granted, you're talking about maybe the best wide receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson. And how did we get here too? Did you actually think Justin Jefferson was going to move on from Kirk Cousins to a rookie quarterback and put his money on the line where they can come back to him and say, like, hey, kid, we love you, but you only had 68 catches last year for 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. He goes, I had a rookie quarterback. You're lucky I actually did that. So you know how you treat your superstar players? Kid, we love you. We think you're the best player in football. Their general manager in the offseason said, we understand he's going to be the highest paid player at his position in the history of the sport. We're going to take care of him. Yep. Drafting a rookie quarterback, then taking care of your superstar player. This is how winning organizations handle their business. If your player is good, treat him with respect and pay him as what he's worth. Way to go, Minnesota. That contract in a couple years, probably going to be a bargain. He's going to be happy. You're going to get good football now.
DRS, you said maybe the best receiver in the National Football League, arguably the best. I think without a doubt, Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL. He only played in 10 games last year, starting 9 of them due to injuries. And he still, for a 4th consecutive season, all 4 of his years in the National Football League, had more than 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. He started off the first 3 weeks of last year with a healthy Kirk Cousins having at least 150 yards or nearly 150 yards receiving in all 3 games. He is a game breaker. He is a game changer and now paid as such, the highest paid receiver in the history of the National Football League at $35 million per year annually, 4-year, $140 million in total for the contract extension with $110 million guaranteed. Rightfully so. I expected Justin Jefferson to be the guy to reset the wide receiver market. If there was one, I thought it was either Jefferson or Jamar Chase that would receive $35 million annually, and Justin Jefferson is that guy. Good on Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the general manager in the Twin Cities, who further reporting from ESPN's Adam Schefter, multiple teams inquired around the NFL about Justin Jefferson. Could they make a deal for him at a point this offseason? And as soon as they called, Minnesota said nope and hung up. They were dead set on paying Justin Jefferson, even with a rookie quarterback. And so further people celebrating, not just J-Jet and his agents, but J.J. McCarthy, the 10th overall pick, of course, by the Minnesota Vikings, because he has a number 1 wide receiver to start the National Football League with.
Yes, and that's exactly the foot you wanted to start off on, not a holdout going into training camp when you want your young wide receiver and your young quarterback to play with each other and get those valuable reps here, and also keeping that player happy. You know how destructive that locker room would have been if he just showed up for game number 1 and realized, like, you know what, I'm not getting paid here. I'm just going to get paid here, or just I'm going to show up. It's just because I don't want to get fined at this point, and we'll see if we can get these negotiations next year. I love where this is going, but also these other wide receivers out here are going to absolutely break the bank before training camp. Yeah. And those team owners, they're going to wish they signed those players earlier, Ben.
Big money coming to the wide receivers in the National Football League. More on the early line next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
Get smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on this Monday on SportsGrid. I am Ben. Donnie's on the right side, and the man in the middle is our coach, James Young, JY. For the next 30 minutes, the final half an hour of this second hour, we will preview the NBA Finals. Big picture looking at the series and what we can expect for the start in game number 1 on Thursday evening in Beantown. And we'll get coach's reaction on what we saw this weekend in the WNBA, and namely on Saturday afternoon between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. JY, thanks for being here on this Monday to tip off a new week on the early line.
Good to be on with you guys, and I think we may have set a record in the last 72 hours of WNBA coverage, but as a girls basketball coach, I'm all here for it.
Former associate head coach of women's college basketball at Monmouth University, the pride of the shore in New Jersey. So, JY, from the coaching perspective, we get your take on the situation, of course, on Saturday in Indianapolis. Late in the third quarter, Chicago's Kennedy Carter, a cheap shot and a foul on Caitlin Clark that was just called a regular foul during game regulation, upgraded to a flagrant one in the overnight hours by the WNBA. That report coming out on Sunday. From a coach's perspective, what would you have done in that moment if you witnessed what happened on Saturday in Indianapolis, and what would your reaction have been following the game coming to a close?
Well, you know, my reaction is there's so much that went wrong in the whole sequence, and I'm not putting Caitlin Clark in there. Let the girl talk her trash. I'm okay with that. The cheap shot, the fact that the referees did not call it correctly, you know, that should have been a flag. If Alyssa Thomas gets thrown out for what she did to Angel Reese, then a cheap shot hitting a girl from behind by calling her the B word before that, to me, is warranted of a flagrant 2 and an automatic ejection. That was not a basketball play. That was intent to injure. That is the letter of the law. That should have been a flagrant 2 and an automatic ejection. Now, if I'm the Indiana Fever coach, number one, I have a real problem with the fact that none of her teammates defended her. Nobody came in. And listen, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I'm not saying you come and throw a punch, but go in and check her. Check Kennedy Carter. Or if you don't see it, very simply put, if you're Aaliyah Boston, if you're Kelsey Mitchell, put a fist up. That's a sign for a screen and roll. And then just kind of slide that hip in, slide that shoulder in, or slide that elbow in to let Caitlin Clark know that we got your back. Now, the problem that also happens is this is a relatively young team. So maybe they don't understand that. So this is where the coach comes into play. Ben, if they're not going to call in a flagrant 2 or a flagrant 1 off the jump, you got to get a tech. You have to do something to defend your player. And sometimes you need to do that. Ready, folks, to earn the respect of Caitlin Clark and of her teammates. To say, I am going to put it out on the line for you as I've asked of my players. Remember, Ben, this is the same coach that 2 games ago, when Caitlin Clark got another technical, said, you don't deal with the officials, I will deal with them. Well, coach, here was your opportunity, and you failed. And you failed your team miserably.
Fever picked up the win on Saturday, even after all that turmoil. Then went on the road on Sunday against the Liberty, who now improved to 7-2 and wasted them 104-68 here. Now, you are going to have growing pains on a young team that we had high expectations for, but really tempered expectations of where we thought the Fever would be from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Talk about that back-to-back where you had the emotion on Saturday and then just got wiped out on Sunday here.
You know, what's interesting, Donnie, is my thought is I wanted to see how this team responded to all the controversy, all the nonsense that took place Saturday. I will want to say really quick, folks, just in case you don't know, a Kennedy Carter that was suspended and terminated from her contract from the Atlanta Dream for almost starting a fight with a teammate. A Kennedy Carter who got dismissed after 1 year at the LA Sparks and did not play in the WNBA, I do believe, last year. So I'm just saying, maybe there's a pattern of behavior we've seen with Kennedy Carter. That's a story that you can read up on yourself, folks. But when you look at this, I was curious to see in a young spot, right? A back-to-back. I know their legs were going to be tired. I liked the Liberty minus the 5.5 in the first quarter. But I wanted to see you compete. And I didn't see a team competing. And this leads me back to the coach. Are they tuning this young lady out? I understand this is only year 2, but you are sitting on the gold mine, the chosen one, whatever you want to call Caitlin Clark, whether you think she deserves it or not. She is the ticket. She is the meal card. She is the one that's going to put money in everybody's pockets. You have to have a coach that's going to help her succeed. The team, Donnie, is going backwards. I get it. 11 games in 20 days. Too much. That's the WNBA's problem. Playing the Liberty 3 times already. The Sun twice. The Aces once. That's a lot to ask on a young team. But you need them to compete, Donnie. You need them to step up and at least compete. And to get blown out by 18 points in the first quarter. Guys, your legs don't go when the game starts. Your legs go in the third and fourth quarter on a back-to-back. They did not compete, and that is solely on the coach. And not only that, even though they were 24-24 in the second quarter, they got outscored 26-15 in the third. So in between those 2 quarters, guys, they got outscored by 29 points, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to do my math real quick. That right there shows a team not ready to play and a coach that was not ready to adjust at halftime.
Christy Sides in her second year at the helm of this Indiana organization, I will just say this frankly, does not seem fit to guide the talent that is now on her roster. I do not believe that she has a long future as the head coach of the Indiana Fever. I'm not sure if she will be fired before this year is out, and that's not just for her response to what we have seen Saturday or the team's response for their play on Sunday. If you watch actual Fever basketball, there's not a lot of cohesion, not a lot of offensive structure, with the best offensive player we have seen in the history of women's college basketball, now in her first year in the WNBA. Just my own take on what Christie Sides will do at the helm of this Fever franchise. Now, JY, as we go elsewhere around the WNBA, that was part of the story yesterday for Indiana. A tough scheduling spot, their 11th game in only 19 days. Nobody else in the W has played more than 9. Because of all of the attention on Caitlin Clark, the WNBA as a league has wanted their best product out there each and every night for television networks. But in terms of the actual play, the Las Vegas Aces off to a pretty good start this year. The Connecticut Sun improved to a perfect 8-0, the only unbeaten team, and the Liberty, a shellacking of Indiana. New York certainly on pace with where they were a year ago, reaching the WNBA Finals. And it's still, from the odds perspective, despite a strong start for the Sun, the Aces versus the Liberty, the two teams that are under $2, even money for Las Vegas at plus 100, plus 190 for New York. Is it just a two-team race to win the WNBA title this season?
No, Ben, it's a three-team race. You got to put Connecticut in there. And I would say Minnesota Lynx have played really, really well. Nafisa Kali, remember, Cheryl Reese is one of the best coaches, if not maybe the best coach in the WNBA, has championship pedigree. New York's got to play better. They showed that last night, particularly the play of Jonquel Jones. Lainey Hamilton's one of the top 3-and-D players. She did a great job as well. But Connecticut has played really well. Now, what the big key is, they have not played a tough schedule. We will see that ramp up. I do believe Friday night, first matchup, Sun Liberty. Mark it down. Going to be a good one.
That will be a great one in the Northeast, to say the least. Now we go to the NBA. We're still a few days away from game number 1 of the NBA Finals, but the coaching scouting report continues on the other side of the break, live right here on TEL.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday on the early line on SportsGrid. We are still 3 days away from game number 1, the opening night of the 2024 NBA Finals. So in these next 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before we get to game day Thursday, what are we going to see? what might change between Boston and Dallas as the Celtics await the Mavericks in game number 1 of the 2024 NBA Finals inside TD Garden on Thursday. JY, let's start with one big change for Boston, presumably on his way back. That is Kristaps Porzingis. KP back at practice over the weekend as a full participant. We haven't seen him since early in the opening round against Miami. We thought maybe we would see him return to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics 1-4. They didn't really need Porzingis out there. What does Kristaps Porzingis bring to Boston that we haven't truly seen throughout this NBA playoff run?
Well, number one, more than everybody wants to talk about KP, it's his ability to block shots. I mean, that's your rim protector. That's your guy that protects the rim and allows you defensively, let's be honest, Ben, to get up into people's spaces and take away the three-point shot and funnel players into the lane. Al Horford, love him, has had a great career, but that's not Al's game. So I think getting KP back allows you to have that rim protection there and then also the ability to stretch the floor. Obviously, one of the best shooting big men. He can bring the ball, he can come outside, which then on the flip side brings Gafford and Lively, two guys that are good defenders around the rim. It brings them away from the basket as well. So having KP is key and critical to what could be the 18th title for the Boston Celtics, and they need KP to play well. It's going to be an interesting spot for KP. It'll be the first time he's in a championship run like this, going against a team that he was the Knicks traded him to Dallas to be the sidekick for Luka Doncic. It obviously did not play well, but KP is going to be a critical point in this series. And lucky for Boston and for KP, he got himself a little bit of rest. Should be able to get a lot of the kinks out this week in practice before Game 1 on Thursday night.
Game number 1, as you said, Coach, Thursday night, a 6-point advantage here right now for the Boston Celtics over the Dallas Mavericks, and a total that's listed at 214.5. Now, we talked about it earlier in the show, some of the betting tendencies here from the public through the FanDuel Sportsbook, 77% of the tickets currently coming in on the Mavericks. So if we're lining up this series with this long of a layoff, what are we actually going to get out of game number 1 from these two teams?
Well, you're going to probably see, if you're Dallas, you're going to try and get your two main guns, especially Luka Doncic, off to a hot start. And the chess match is really going to be who guards Luka and Kyrie, and the flip side, who guards Tatum and Brown. I fully expect that Drew Holiday should be guarding Luka Doncic, and then I would go ahead and put Derek White on Kyrie Irving. On the flip side, P.J. Washington should be guarding Jason Tatum, and Derek Jones Jr. should be guarding Jaylen Brown. So to me, that's the intriguing thing looking at off the bat for Dallas is can your two guys take advantage of their matchups? Drew Holiday and Derek White, we did say, I said it wrong last week, they were second team all NBA defensive, but two of the better guards. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. If I am Jason Kidd and I have Luka being guarded by Drew Holiday, I may go first side of the floor with Kyrie Irving, let him come off the first action first, because I think he's got more of the advantage versus Derek White, then see if you can create some kind of help opportunities, and then look for the kick out. So you should be looking at, for me, honestly, game number 1, maybe Kyrie Irving assists, because he may have to be the facilitator early on in game number 1.
6 points in favor of Boston, but so far now in their 7 home playoff games that we have seen throughout these NBA playoffs, make that 8 home NBA playoff games throughout this postseason run. This is the shortest spread, only the second time they have not been booked as a double-digit favorite inside TD Garden. So, JY, we saw a little bit of odds movement in terms of how the odds makers expect this series to play out. Frankly, a little bit more competitive than we initially anticipated. But with that being said, the Celtics remain a hefty favorite at minus 220 to win number 18. That is Larry O'Brien Trophy number 18 for this Boston Celtics organization. On Friday, we asked you, after the Mavericks won the Western Conference Finals in only 5 games, what was your NBA Finals prediction? And you gave us Dallas in 6. Does it remain that way after a weekend of thought and a couple more days until game number 1?
Well, my late mother, in her Panamanian voice, used to say, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I am sticking to it. Mom, you'll be very happy I'm doing that. I am going with Dallas in 6. I think people are talking to me about Dallas in 7. I think it would be incredibly difficult to win a game 7 in the TD Bank Garden versus Celtics. So I like Dallas in 6 games. I think it's imperative that they get off to a good start. So I know there's plays you can take it, like for instance, Dallas to win game 1 and then to win the series is something that I'm looking at. That is at plus 400. So if you get a little bit more better odds, if you want to try and take it that way, I think they got to get at least a 1-1 split coming out of Boston. I think game 1 is the game you look at because you have to, one, worry about the rustiness of Porzingis in game number 1. And also the first time Boston will be playing a team at full strength and with rest. That is the other thing you need to look at. I do think, even though it's a plus 6.5 right now for the Dallas Mavericks, I will play the plus 6.5 and I will sprinkle the money line that they win game number 1.
So, JY, as we get ready for game number 1, it was right there on the minute mark.
Yeah, right.
Literally 37:38. Yeah, that's very tough. Always very tough. So, JY, as we get ready for game number 1, 3 days away, you have Dallas in 6. The Mavericks, I would then assume, have to win one of the first 2 in Boston. Do you think that's game 1, or could it be game 2?
I think it's more of game 1, Ben, because of the Porzingis effect of being rusty. And I think you get a Dallas team that tries to throw a knockout punch early in game 1, and they get a game right away to go up 1-0. If I think Dallas is going to win this series, I think it's important that they try and steal the first game.
No hesitation on the other side of the break, as we'll have more from JY in terms of the individual assessment. Who makes the biggest mark on the 2024 NBA Finals and wins the MVP award? Find out next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The The 2024 NBA Finals begins on Thursday. We have showed you the series outright odds where the Celtics are a -220 favorite to win championship number 18. Dallas enters as the underdog at +184. The reason I mention those odds is because it directly correlates to how the Finals MVP might play out. Jason Tatum, an odds-on favorite at -115. Luka Doncic, second best number at 2-1. Only 16 cents away from his individual price from that of his team to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy this season. But it wasn't Jason Tatum, JY, winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP hardware. It was his teammate, Jaylen Brown. So with the Celtics being a -220 favorite, let's say Boston makes good on that number, wins Larry O'Brien Trophy number 18. Who wins the NBA Finals MVP?
That's a tough one because I think everybody would expect it and hope it would be Jason Tatum being the best player on the best team all year. But let's be honest, guys. If you look at the 2022 NBA Finals, series that Boston was up 2-1, up I think 3 or 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter when Marcus Smart, God bless his soul, took one of the worst shots I've ever seen, and the game in the series completely flipped. Jaylen Brown was the best player for the Celtics that series. So to me, and Jaylen Brown, who was the Eastern Conference Finals Larry Bird MVP, I would lean more to Jaylen Brown, to be honest with you, because I just think Tatum could go through periods of time where he could have stinkers. I also think the fact of does this moment become too big for Derrick Jones Jr., and the fact that does he get a little bit too aggressive and allow Jaylen Brown to get to the foul line and earn 3 points? I honestly trust P.J. Washington a little bit more as a defender, to be honest with you. And it's also going to depend on how the game is called by officials, Ben. That's going to be a big topic of it, how they allow particularly Derrick Jones Jr. to play aggressively defensively. So if you're asking me right now who I would take, if I'm taking the Celtics, I'm just going to take them to win the series. If it's MVP and you have one guy for the Celtics, I'm actually leaning more Jaylen Brown because of the price at 6-1.
Let's take a look at these price points here at the FanDuel Sportsbook for the top 4. By the way, Jason Tatum now 5 cents better. It's either 5 cents worse, depending on which way you're betting it. A -120 price here to win an MVP. Luka Doncic 2-1, Jaylen Brown 6-1, and Kyrie Irving at 20-1. Coach, the reason I brought up the top 4 is we're expecting unbelievable series performances out of those guys. Let's just say this. One of those 4 guys doesn't win it here, which means we started Derek White at a 36-1. If there is a chance for a long shot winner of the MVP here in the finals, which we have seen in the past, who could that guy be?
Honestly, could be Porzingis at 50-1. Because of his ability to shoot the ball from 3, to be an elite rim protector and block shots and rebound the ball. Got to remember, folks, he should be around the basket as well. So that should be a little bit of a sleeper pick. I know he probably will not ever be a big rebounder. It's never been his thing, but he's 19-1 to lead the series in rebounds. Remember, he's going to guard Eric Lively and Daniel Gafford. Both of them should be at the dunk spot, so that should be a play to think about. I think it could be Porzingis, a guy that could stretch the floor, knock down some threes. You load up your defense to stop both Tatum and Brown, and someone gets loose, and maybe Gafford and Derek Lively get caught around the basket watching the ball, and Porzingis can go off 50-1. Porzingis, very intrigued by it, guys.
All right, Dallas in 6. JY's official prediction for the 2024 NBA Finals. So I ask you one final follow-up question. If the Dallas Mavericks win the NBA championship, does anybody not named Luka Doncic win the NBA Finals MVP?
Ben, North Jersey, stand up. Kyrie Irving, 20-1. I know I may be drinking the Kyrie Kool-Aid, but I just feel like for the first time in his career, he's not talking anything crazy. He's just playing. And I think of the fact of Drew Holiday loading up on Luka. I think Kyrie's got a good matchup on him versus Derek White. I think Kyrie gets loose. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, maybe first side of the floor. Kyrie Irving, 20-1 to win the MVP.
All right, quick follow-up question then. Luka Doncic, who's the odds-on favorite to still lead this series in scoring, Does he do that and then Kyrie can win MVP?
I think he does, but it's going to be close. It's going to be about what else he does. And big shot moments are Kyrie's thing. Remember, he did win a championship with a big shot in the last minute.
Big shot moments. JY, in that fashion, fade away to the break. Hour 3 up next.
I don't miss.